The Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380, batteries included. We have the very diminutive Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380, and this gun is quite obviously designed for the concealed carry market and that self-defense purpose. It is probably marketed more toward the shooter who is a little adverse to the recoil of the larger calibers, being that this is chambered in 380. There's, the age-old debate about caliber and what's enough, what's too much, what's insufficient, and I'm not gonna go down that path. That's not really the purpose of my approach. The 380 caliber is what it is, and if you decide that it is suitable for you, for your self-defense purposes, then you have decided that it is. It's not my place to tell you otherwise. I think ballistics information is readily available and you're capable of making those decisions for yourself. So if you have decided that a 380 is something that you can consider, will consider, or prefer, then you might be looking at the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380. It's certainly one of the top contenders in that market. We're looking at the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380. Subcompact, micro compact, self-defense gun. It is a very tiny gun. It weighs just 11 ounces empty, and with an empty magazine it weighs just over 12 ounces. So it's light. It is very thin. The length of this gun is 5 1/4 inches from the grip tang all the way to the muzzle, and the height is just 3 7/8 inches. And this is probably one of the most important measurements. So there's, for a carry gun, there's really two critical measurements: the height and the thickness, because those are the things that are going to make it comfortable to carry and also going to make it concealable. This is a double action only pistol. It is hammer fired, and it comes with a single 6-round magazine. And that's actually one of the things I dislike. I can't imagine any pistol coming with a single magazine, and yet here it is. One single 6-round magazine is all they give you. So you have a 6+1 configuration, and if you want to carry a backup magazine of ammunition, you're going to have to go to the store and buy one. This gun comes equipped with blacked out sights, front and rear. It's simply a very traditional notch and post sight picture, both in black, so it's not real easy to get a quick sight acquisition. However, Smith & Wesson probably didn't feel too obliged to provide great sights, because what they have provided is a built-in laser. And the laser that's provided in this pistol is supplied by Insight Laser.
Oh, did he say laser beam? I love laser beams.
As far as the controls on this pistol, they are relatively familiar. The slide stop is right here where you would expect it to be. We have a safety right here. So we have a thumb safety. It's very flat, and it is up for safe, down for fire. And then we have here a takedown lever. Now, I found the takedown lever to be difficult to use. Field stripping this little pistol is not really that easy to do. I found it to be a challenge, both in takedown and reassembly. And for the novice, first-time gun owner, someone who's not doesn't spend a lot of time at the range and doesn't, have 2 or 3 pistols to clean every single week, that might be problematic. Even when you follow the instructions, it's not real clear. That takedown lever actually has to be turned and then swiveled out of the pistol, and then putting it back in is a little kludgy as well. It doesn't, it's not very intuitive as to how that wants to go back in. There are no ambidextrous controls, no lefty controls. The right side of this pistol is smooth as a baby's butt. Ergonomically speaking, for such a small pistol, ergonomics on a small pistol can be a little bit challenging because even for someone with, you know, relatively small hands like me, the small pistol can be hard to get a full good grip on and you know, and have enough there to grab a hold of. But this pistol actually has nice ergonomics. Again, it's very flat. I mean, it's like, you know, it's like holding a flounder, a baby flounder, actually. But you get a nice grip. You can go thumb down. You can go thumbs forward. Either way, it'll accommodate those grips. You've got 2 fingers here. Now, this magazine does have an extension on the base plate that allows you that full 2-finger purchase on the firearm, but if you had a flat base plate, then you might actually find this second finger lacking a little bit of a place to grab onto, and that could be a problem. But with this magazine, not a problem at all. Very comfortable. There's enough of a grip tang to where you can get your hand up in there and feel it. You get the feedback in the grip so that you know you've got a good grasp of it. It's got a very low bore axis, and that is evident when you shoot the gun. There's not much recoil. One of the things I think is worth noting, on a lot of really tiny, I would call this a micro pistol, and on a lot of little micro pistols, the magazine catch can sometimes be a little bit tricky, but this one's got a really nice positive ejection, and you feel it catch well when you load it, and it ejects really nicely, loaded or unloaded. So that's a nice design. So far, my initial observations are that, number one, it's not the most accurate gun. You're talking about a 6-inch group out of 15 rounds at just about 10 yards. I'm standing right now just outside the 7. I'm probably at about 8.5 yards, which is, you know, arguably pushing the outer ring of the self-defense range in a typical environment, typical scenario. So that's a fair distance, I think. You know, getting any further out is really beyond what this gun was designed for. So I do want to keep it fair. But even at this distance, it's a bit of a stretch for the accuracy capabilities. The trigger pull is heavy. It's a heavy double action. It's got a very long reset that takes a little bit of getting used to, and it feels like there's multiple clicks. There's multiple click points on the reset. You think you've got it all the way out there, and it's not. You got to let it go some more. So that's interesting. When I get this thing back on the bench, I'll definitely put trigger gauge on it. We'll play a little bit more with the feel and the travel on the trigger. One thing I have noticed, if I slam a magazine home on this, it will, so far about half the time, it will drop the slide. There we go. All right, let's take a quick look inside. Let's take a quick look at the field strip process. So first thing we want to do is, obviously, we want to always check and make sure that we know our firearm is unloaded and that it is clear. We want to do that by touch as well as sight. That was my nanny speech, I'm sorry. So once we do that, we want to lock the slide back, again without a magazine, or use the magazine to lock it back and then drop the mag. Then we want to take this takedown lever right here, and we need to rotate it clockwise, or downward if you prefer. And you'll note right away that it doesn't really want to go very far, and it doesn't want to stay where you put it, and it's not going to cooperate. That's the general sense I got of it when I first did this. So you rotate it down, and then you need to get a fingernail under it and just sort of wiggle and pry. There you go. And you can force it around further and out. So that's what you need to do. And putting it back in is just as tricky, if not worse. And once you've done that, unlock the slide, let it come all the way forward, and you have disassembled the two major components. Okay, so here's a look at the guide rod and recoil spring assembly. Now this is not a captured assembly, so you want to take a little bit of care when you remove it, because the guide rod does come out. This is I mentioned it was a dual recoil spring. It's a dual wound spring, one inside of another. So that gives you a little extra recoil management. And then, of course, there's our barrel. And there's the barrel lug configuration, traditional. We do have, we can see this again if we want to when the pistol is reassembled, but we do have also, see this notch right here? That's our chamber loaded indicator, or loaded chamber indicator. So let's just put this guy back together. All right. So to reassemble, I'll probably struggle with this and look stupid, but to reassemble, you place the slide back on the frame, slide it back, and once again lock the slide. And you need to make sure the barrel is all the way forward. Let me show you a little better what I'm doing here. You have to just sort of pull a little bit on the barrel, or tilt it down this way and let gravity do it. Then reinstall the takedown, the locking pin and takedown lever, like so. Rotate it back around, and then you have to really sort of mash it in there. You hear that loud click, that sends it home, and we should be good. Double check, make sure everything works, make sure the barrel behaves as it should. Function test, and we're good. So it works fine in terms of the takedown and reassembly. It's just not, it's not that simple. So, you know, for somebody who, you know, this may be their first gun or their only defense gun, you know, that could be a little problematic. I would definitely recommend you go through those steps several times and get yourself well acclimated to it. Okay, so one of the big selling points about this gun is, of course, the built-in laser. You know, it's literally built in. It's incorporated into the frame of the pistol. And as I said, you know, batteries included. So to activate and deactivate the laser, use a gray button that is on either side, just in front of the trigger guard. Actually, it's about the 11 o'clock position of the trigger guard. And you can activate that again with either hand. So, you know, that's probably the one ambidextrous control. First push activates a steady laser. Second push gives you a pulsating laser. And one more press will turn it off. So those are our three choices: off, on steady, on pulse, on Donner and Blitzen. Again, I mentioned it comes with one magazine. That's a big downer for me. I'm not a fan of anybody. I'm actually annoyed when I only get 2 magazines with a gun. But one, come on, really? They really need to provide more than one magazine for a lot of reasons. But you know, again, for self-defense, you know, you've got a tiny little gun here in a small caliber that's questionable, certainly in many people's minds, as to its effectiveness. And then on top of that, you're going to tell me that I can only carry 7 rounds with a loaded chamber. So, you know, no backup magazine. No, I disagree. So as far as the laser goes, again, this is made by Insight Laser. You know, it's certainly a marketing point to the gun. I have mixed feelings about it. I'm not a big fan of electronic components being built in to a firearm because, number one, the useful life of electronic components is nothing compared to that of a firearm. You know, obsolescence is almost instantaneous with electronics, and you're stuck with it. You know, there's no way to change that. Number two, it could become defective or break, and again, you're stuck with it. You know, it's part of the firearm. What are you going to do? You know, warranty work is fine. I'm sure Smith & Wesson stands behind it, and you know, will keep their customers satisfied throughout the warranty period. But what is that warranty period, and what happens after that? So, again, I don't know. I have mixed feelings. You know, it's nice that it's there. It's something you don't have to add. It's something you don't have to shop around for, worry about compatibility, look for special holsters and all those things. But, you know, the downside is all those choices have been taken away. So if you like the idea of the built-in laser, then you'll like this. You know, it's great. If you know, like me, maybe would rather choose some of those things yourself, then it may not necessarily be a selling point. I did actually get an opportunity to use the laser at the range. It got late enough in the day, the light got low enough that I was able to use the laser, and I think, you know, actually get it picked up on camera enough so that I can show you now where it was, you know, sighted in. So I don't know how much they sight these in at the factory and at what distance. I was shooting at about 10-yard distance, and it was significantly off. The hits were very low compared to where I had the red dot on the target. It is adjustable. There are adjustments that can be made for windage and elevation. So all in all, after, you know, about 100 rounds or so through this little pistol, I found that it shoots pretty nice for a little gun, and I found it to be really manageable in terms of recoil. It does have a really heavy trigger, you know, at almost 11 pounds. That's a heavy trigger, but you do get used to it. What I found harder to get used to was the long reset. It's got a really, really long reset. Let's actually take a look at that. Okay, so here's our double action trigger pull, and it's a long double action trigger pull. Boom. Right? Now the reset, all the way out to there, and then a little bit of over travel. So we got take up, and then long heavy pull, and really long reset. The one thing I will say is it's a heavy pull, but it's a fairly smooth and even pull. There's really not any grittiness. You don't feel a difference in the tension along the way. It pulls very smoothly, very evenly, and that's easy to adjust to. So you get used to the trigger pull pretty quick, and it doesn't feel that bad. But that long reset was what I found the most difficult to get used to while I was shooting the gun. But that said, I experienced no failures of any kind. So, and I was just shooting hardball ammo, but everything fed fine, everything fired fine, and everything ejected fine. So it operated cleanly and flawlessly. My groups were not so great. You know, a 6-inch group or more at 10 yards is, you know, certainly not, you know, not something I want to brag about. It's not a target I want to put up on the fridge. But, you know, for a gun this small, maybe that's as good as we're going to do. I don't think that's the case. I have guns that are just about this size that are much more accurate than that, but not in 380. So, it could be a combination of the size and the caliber. Could have been the ammo too, who knows. From the 10-yard line, Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380. Do some 10-yard rested accuracy tests. Let's see how this guy shoots. By the way, this is a double action only pistol, hammer fired. It's got a long reset and a pretty heavy trigger pull. I'll put a gauge on that. I'll tell you, it's not bad. It's a fairly respectable group. It's certainly not something I would be interested in for a match gun, but right now it looks like the safest place to be is sitting on top of that bullseye. That was nice. Okay. Safest place to be is still the bullseye. The Bodyguard 380 comes in this little case. It almost looks like a little day planner type of case. Dual zippered nylon case with the Smith & Wesson logo embossed. That might be real hard to see on camera here, but you can see right there the S&W in there. And then when we open that up, we have the pistol, and it's in a little holster, just a little nylon pouch type of holster. And over here we have a place to store a second magazine, which they don't give us. It's almost like, that's great. If I had a second magazine, that's where I'd keep it. So it's almost like, they kind of rub your face in it. But they do give you an optional base plate for your magazine. So if you did not want the extension here for concealment purposes, then you can change that. Although I find that pretty necessary for a full grip with 2 fingers. Final thoughts. What are my final thoughts on the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380? There's things I like and things I don't like as much about it. There's nothing I hate about it, and there's probably nothing I absolutely love about it. I guess, one comment is, it has a thumb safety. Why it has a thumb safety with an almost 11-pound double action trigger, I have no idea. Another thing I don't like so much about it is the takedown. The field strip procedure is a little kludgy to me. I don't like that takedown lever at all. Some of the things I do like about it, I like the built-in laser. And again, whether or not I'm a fan of built-in lasers aside, this is a good laser. It operates and functions really well. I didn't have any, times where it failed to come on or behave and operate the way I expected to. The sights are okay. They're actually, a decent pair of sights. I believe they are iron sights. The front ramp sight is well serrated, and we've got a nice low profile angled rear sight. Now you don't have anything here. If you ever had to do a one-handed emergency slide rack using the sight, I think you're going to be hard pressed, because you're not going to have anything there to bite on. But it is for concealment purposes and comfort, which I'm sure is why that was designed the way it is. It's really nice. Again, there is no marking, there's no dot, there's no white mark of any kind, no colors. It's a black front blade in a black rear notch. No ambidextrous controls. Doesn't really bother me. You know, I'm not, at this point in my life, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to wake up left-handed tomorrow. So I don't care. And it doesn't mean I don't care about left-handed people. Some of the nicest people I know are left-handed. I think the biggest thing about this gun is the size and the bang for the buck. Pardon the pun. You know, the fact that it does come with a laser. It's a tiny little pistol. It's very well made. It's a Smith & Wesson. You know, that brand means something. It does to me. I have a lot of respect for the Smith & Wesson brand. And, you know, it's a well-engineered and well-designed, well-built pistol. A couple of complaints. I don't like the way it field strips, but that's just me. Other people may not care at all. I don't like that they only give you one magazine. I think they need to pony up for 2 magazines with your purchase. But aside from that, I think it's a nice value gun. You know, this is, I think, still in around the $400 range, depending on, you know, your price may vary, but for that, I think it's still a decent value. I think if you have decided on the .380 caliber for your personal protection, or you're in a situation where that's all you can carry because of the size that you have to have, and you know, we all have to make those choices sometimes, depending on the attire that we're going to be wearing, that may make our decision for us. If this was the only gun available for me to carry, I would feel pretty good about it, because I know that it's going to work.